Welcome to Hero Villains. What do you think about AZAZEL vs Moon Knight? The battle between the teleporting demon lord and the Shadow Knight of Khonshu. There are beings that stepped out of the Bible. And there are humans chosen by ancient gods to be warriors. But what happens when an ancient demon who ruled the Brimstone Dimension and manipulated human history since the dawn of the Old Testament confronts a mercenary who died and was resurrected by the Egyptian moon god? On one side is AZAZEL, the demon lord of the Brimstone Dimension, father of Nightcrawler, who seduced Mystique and executed a plan to sow demonic seeds across Earth to open a permanent hellgate. On the other side is Moonknight, Marc Spector, a former brutal mercenary resurrected from death by Khonshu himself, the Egyptian moon god, to become his fist of vengeance, the Shadow Knight protecting travelers in the night. When the teleporting demon lord of Marvel faces the Shadow Knight of Khonshu, who will remain standing under the moonlight? In the Marvel universe, before the X-Men, before humanity, even before Earth formed, ancient races already existed. One of them was the Nephilim, a race of demon-like beings with red skin, pointed tails, long ears, and the ability to teleport instantly. These beings were cursed by their own appearance, banished and slaughtered by another race, the Shiraphim, angel-like beings. AZAZEL was one of the most ancient and powerful leaders of the Nephilim. He declared himself the demon lord of the Brimstone Dimension, ruling a separate dimension of the same name, a hellish reality with lakes of fire, sulfur cliffs, and a blazing red sky. But what truly made AZAZEL a nightmare was not just his power, but a plan spanning millennia. AZAZEL realized the Nephilim race was slowly declining. He needed new warriors, descendants carrying his bloodline to one day open the gate between the Brimstone Dimension and Earth, unleashing the entire Nephilim army. And so, he began the greatest breeding plan in Marvel history. He traveled to Earth, taking the form of charming men and seduced women, including Mystique, Nightcrawler's mother. The result was dozens of children carrying the teleportation gene born across the world, all children of AZAZEL. When the time came, AZAZEL summoned all his children, including Nightcrawler, Kurt Wagner, and Abyss, to the Brimstone Dimension. He intended to use them as anchors to open a permanent gate and unleash his Nephilim army on Earth. His plan nearly succeeded, but was ultimately stopped by the X-Men. Even so, AZAZEL remains an ancient force that cannot be completely destroyed, always lurking in the shadows, waiting for the next opportunity. As a true biblical demon in the universe, AZAZEL possesses a terrifying skill set honed over thousands of years. AZAZEL. He can teleport himself and others over interplanetary distances, even across different dimensions. Unlike his son Nightcrawler, who needs to see or clearly know the destination, AZAZEL seems to have no limit on teleportation range. He can vanish and appear in the blink of an eye, making all physical attacks meaningless. AZAZEL has the ability to hypnotize, control minds, and manipulate memories. He can make others see illusions, forget events, or even obey his commands unconsciously. It was with this ability that he seduced and manipulated dozens of women around the world, including Mystique, one of the hardest mutants to deceive. AZAZEL has lived for thousands of years without any signs of aging. He belongs to an ancient race that existed before the first human civilizations were born. AZAZEL can change his appearance to disguise himself as a human. He used this ability to blend into human society and carry out his breeding plan in secret. As an ancient demon, AZAZEL possesses strength, speed, and durability far beyond humans. He can fight the X-Men evenly and survive fatal attacks. As the Lord of the Brimstone Dimension, AZAZEL can summon other demonic entities to fight under his banner. AZAZEL once claimed he is one of the most ancient mutants ever to exist. He once confronted Mephisto in a struggle for the title of Satan, a claim that shows this being's extreme ambition and confidence. Long ago, the Nephilim were defeated by another mutant race with an angelic appearance called the Shiraphim and banished to the Brimstone Dimension, a dimension separate from Earth. As the leader of the Nephilim, AZAZEL possesses abilities superior to other members of his race. He is the only one able to temporarily escape the Brimstone Dimension, thanks to his immensely powerful teleportation ability. About 20 years ago, AZAZEL began approaching women with unusual appearances or abilities. He believed that mating with special women would create a generation of descendants capable enough to help him achieve his goal. Every action of Azazel was carefully calculated, not simply driven by instinct, but a plan lasting many years to break the limits imprisoning him. And Azazel's weakness lies in being banished from Earth and imprisoned in the Brimstone Dimension after his defeat by the X-Men. To maintain a presence on Earth, he needs anchors, often through his descendants or special rituals. Furthermore, he and the Neophem race seem to have a weakness to beings carrying the Shirafim bloodline, the ancient angels. Without an anchor, he can be pushed back into his own dimension. I really hope you subscribe to the channel. That will help us a lot, and you are the most wonderful person. Thank you very much. Now let us talk about Moon Knight. Marc Spector was born into a Jewish family in Chicago, the son of a rabbi who survived the Holocaust. But instead of following his father's religious path, Marc chose the path of violence. He became a Marine, then a CIA operative, and finally a freelance mercenary operating across the hottest battlefields in the world. The first tragedy in Marc's life came from betrayal. During a mission in Sudan, his comrade, Raoul Bushman, betrayed and killed the entire team after discovering an ancient Egyptian temple filled with gold. Marc, shot and mortally wounded, dragged himself into the temple and collapsed before the statue of Khonshu, the Egyptian moon god. And then, Marc Spector died. His heart stopped beating. But in the moment between life and death, Khonshu appeared. The ancient god offered a deal. Marc would become Khonshu's Fist of Vengeance, the Shadow Knight protecting travelers in the night, and in return, he would be resurrected. Marc agreed. From then on, Marc Spector carried multiple personalities within him. Marc Spector, the mercenary, Stephen Grant, the high society millionaire who funds his crime-fighting operations, Jake Lockley, the street-level cab driver who gathers intelligence, and Mr. Knight, the consultant detective in a white suit. Each personality is a tool, a mask, a weapon. What makes Moon Knight truly terrifying is not just the power granted by Khonshu, it is the madness of Marc Spector himself. He suffers from dissociative identity disorder, but instead of being a weakness, these personalities make him unpredictable and nearly immune to all mind control attempts. How can you hypnotize a man when you do not know which personality is controlling his body? Moon Knight is a combination of granted supernatural power, peak combat skills, and a fragmented mind that cannot be controlled. Moon Knight's power is directly proportional to the moon phase. During a full moon, he reaches peak supernatural strength, able to lift several tons, endure fatal damage, and fight tirelessly. On a moonless night, his power drops to peak human level, but is still significantly enhanced compared to an ordinary person. Regeneration and immortality. This is Moon Knight's most terrifying ability. He has died and been resurrected by Khonshu countless times. He can recover from fatal wounds, including being stabbed through the heart, shot in the head, and even having his body completely destroyed. As long as Khonshu wants him alive, Marc Spector cannot die permanently. Marc Spector is one of the finest street-level fighters in Marvel. He is proficient in boxing, Muay Thai, Krav Maga, Eskrima, and countless other martial arts. He is a master of tactics, using the surrounding environment and finishing opponents with brutal relentlessness. Moon Knight possesses an impressive arsenal: boomerang clubs, grappling hooks, crescent-shaped throwing darts, grapple lines, and vehicles like the Mooncopter and Angel Wing. He also wears carbonadium armor capable of deflecting bullets and withstanding high-impact force, the Fragmented Mind. This is both a weakness and a secret weapon for Moon Knight. The personalities of Marc, Stephen, Jake, and Mr. Knight coexist in one body, making him nearly immune to hypnosis and mind control. When one personality is psychologically attacked, the others can take over and counterattack. This is the perfect shield against Azazel's mind manipulation abilities. Moon Knight defeated Werewolf by Night during a full moon, meaning he defeated a creature powered by the moon using his own moon-based power. He defeated Spector, that is, himself, from another reality, in a combined psychological and physical battle. He won not through strength, but by completely accepting himself, including the darkest parts. In the battle against Ammit, an ancient Egyptian god with immense power, Marc stood his ground and fought, even when Khonshu temporarily withdrew. He resisted the mind control of Khonshu, the very god granting him power, and reclaimed control of his own body. That means Marc Spector's will is strong enough to resist even the god he serves. Most importantly, he has died and been resurrected more than once. Each time, he comes back stronger. Not because Khonshu made him stronger, but because each time he dies, he loses another thing that could make him afraid. Moon Knight's power depends on Khonshu's will. If Khonshu abandons him, as has happened before, Marc loses his supernatural regeneration and moon-based power. Furthermore, Marc's psychological instability sometimes causes his personalities to conflict, reducing his combat effectiveness. Now let us go into direct comparison and battle analysis. Azazel can teleport continuously, appearing from every angle, striking and vanishing. This is a huge tactical advantage. However, Moon Knight is a master of fighting in chaotic environments and has faced opponents with similar abilities like Nightcrawler and crossovers. He is used to being attacked from multiple directions and knows how to react. Mind manipulation versus fragmented mind. This is the most decisive factor. Azazel relies on hypnosis and memory manipulation as one of his main weapons, but Moon Knight, with his dissociative identity disorder, possesses near absolute resistance to all mind control attempts. When Azazel tries to hypnotize Marc, he might face Stephen Grant. When he tries to control Stephen, Jake Lockley will emerge. Moon Knight's mind is a labyrinth that even Marc himself cannot fully navigate. Immortality, both are extremely difficult to destroy permanently. Azazel has lived for thousands of years and can retreat to the Brimstone Dimension. Moon Knight has died and been resurrected countless times under Khonshu's patronage. However, Moon Knight's regeneration is active and continuous during battle. He can take fatal damage and continue fighting immediately, while Azazel needs to retreat to recover. Azazel has thousands of years of experience and the power of a biblical demon, but Moon Knight has been trained to kill demons and supernatural creatures as part of Khonshu's mission. He is no stranger to confronting entities far beyond human strength. His weapons, especially those blessed by Khonshu or made from silver and divine metals, can harm supernatural entities like Azazel. If the battle takes place on a full moon night, Moon Knight reaches peak power and the advantage shifts decisively toward him. If Azazel tries to pull Moon Knight into the Brimstone Dimension, Marc will fight in a hellish environment, something he has done many times in Khonshu's missions. There is no clear home field advantage for Azazel. This is a battle between two entities that cannot be permanently destroyed, but in completely different ways. Azazel is a master manipulator, one who uses mind and magic to control opponents. Moon Knight is a brutal street fighting machine, divinely patronized and possessing a fragmented mind immune to manipulation. However, Moon Knight wins in the majority of scenarios. The main reason is the fatal matchup. Azazel's strongest weapon, mind manipulation, is completely ineffective against Moon Knight. When a demon cannot hypnotize his opponent, he is forced to rely on physical combat and teleportation. But Moon Knight is not only a master fighter, but also someone who cannot be permanently killed. Every time Azazel stabs him, shoots him, or tears his body apart, Marc Spector will stand up and continue fighting. Azazel can teleport across the battlefield, but he cannot run forever. Moon Knight is the most patient predator, one who has spent his entire life hunting and destroying creatures like Azazel in the name of Khonshu. With silver and divine weapons, with power amplified by the moonlight, and with a mind Azazel cannot penetrate, Moon Knight will slowly wear down the Demon Lord until he is forced to retreat to the Brimstone Dimension or be completely destroyed. However, there is one scenario where Azazel could win, if he finds a way to sever the connection between Marc and Khonshu. If Khonshu abandons Marc mid-battle, which has happened before, Moon Knight will lose his regeneration and supernatural power, becoming an ordinary human. But to do this, Azazel needs to manipulate Khonshu himself, an ancient Egyptian god, which is far beyond his capabilities. And Azazel is a demon who has manipulated humanity for millennia. But Moon Knight is a mortal, chosen by a god. driven by madness and forged in death. And when the moon rises, the demon will understand what it truly means to fear the night. And that is our analysis of the battle between the teleporting demon lord and the Shadow Knight of Khonshu. But what do you think? Could Azazel find a way to bypass Moon Knight's psychological defenses? If Azazel kidnapped one of Marc's personalities and tortured him in the Brimstone Dimension, would the other personalities collapse? Or if the battle took place on a moonless night, when Moon Knight's power is at its lowest, would Azazel have a chance? Let us know your opinion by commenting down below. If you like showdowns between supernatural forces and peak warriors, do not forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. And remember to follow us. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next battles.